Here are some top posts from r/wedding shaming, a place to shame wedding themes, brides, grooms, wedding party, in-laws, outlaws, guests, Uncle Bob, vendors, you name it, we shame it. Sabotaging mother and a dress held for ransom. Bride's mother paid off and picked up wedding dress without permission. Asking for legal advice. In Illinois, I'm the maid of honor in a wedding in October. The bride and her mother do not get along. Her mother isn't even invited to the wedding after telling everyone she doesn't approve and some other awful things. After picking out and putting a deposit down on a wedding dress, the bridal store did not call the bride to inform her that her dress was available for pickup. Instead, her mother drove down there, finished paying for the dress. I'm not sure the total amount paid by each person, but the dress was around $1,500 and is now holding the dress hostage, locked in a closet in her house. Does the bride have any legal recourse? The shop essentially sold her dress to someone else. Is it theft by the mother, since the bride paid the deposit, even though her mother finished paying for it? My first thought is a charge back on the credit card for the deposit, since she didn't receive what she paid for, but I'm not an expert here. Wow. Just wow. The bridal shop definitely shouldn't have handed that dress over. It's honestly ridiculous the amount of stories like this that happen. Dresses being stolen, venues being cancelled, etc. that happen because they listened to someone other than the bride. Why wouldn't they call to confirm or ask that they come back together? It's so strange and negligent. I work in a semi-high-end bridal shop. The price of the dress in the op is about our minimum, unless we were told ahead of time by the bride and nobody else that the mom, or anyone else for matter, was paying off and picking up the dress. We'd never hand it over. Whoever works in the bridal store royally eat up. Your friend is likely an adult over the age of 18. She will go to the police station and ask for an escort to pick up her fraudulently collected belongings. Bring her receipt or order numbers. Hell, have the bridal shop confirm it was her dress. This does not mean she has to press charges or anything, and an officer will just go with her, get the dress, and hand it over to the owner, the bride. The dress shop might be in their clear, likely she was known to them, that she's the mother of the bride, or they had good faith that they could release it to her. Was she there when it was picked out? Was her name on the partial payment beforehand? Did she have the account numbers and other essential info? I would find out how it happened, so you know the details before suing someone. She likely does not have a case, but it varies state to state. I'd consult an attorney to see how it is in your area. That being said, they shouldn't have given the dress to her. Her name was not on the order. I would go down and talk to them, not to yell or blame or cause a scene. Calmly, without anger, inform them of what happened. Speak to the owner or manager, get their side of the story first, and have them deal with the employee who did it, or adjust their policies accordingly. Then contact the attorney if you feel they acted in bad faith or legally reckless. They didn't do anything malicious, but the mother obviously did. Start there and get the dress back. Talk to the dress shop, then go from there. My sister tried to turn my wedding into a soap sale for a random friend. My sister approached me about 3 days before our wedding and told me about a friend of hers makes beautiful lattes and soaps. She asked, would you like me to get in contact with her to have her deliver some soaps as a party favors for your wedding guests? No Karen. I couldn't care less about giving my guests soap. I was just very ambivalent because I couldn't care less about the soap. The next day my sister says I got a quote for the soaps. It would be $250 and they would all be in the shape of wedding cakes and cake scented. And since one of your colors is yellow, I thought a cream color would be beautiful. She shows me a picture, and I didn't even remotely desire a last minute $250 expense for king soap. I said no again. Here's what they looked like. When I walk into the reception, what do you know? There is a little decorative baggie next to every plate of a little wedding cake soap. It wasn't marked, and halfway during the reception someone thought it was a chocolate and bit into the soap, and we had to make an announcement to not eat the soap. During the wedding she pulled my wedding photographer aside and asked him to get some professional shots of the soap so I could send them to her friend and her friend could use a professionally taken photo of soap in her business. Professional photos for someone random friend that I paid for. As we are winding down the reception, my sister tells me that I'm free to write her a check for the soap later. I was speechless and just left for my honeymoon and never mentioned it again. And I don't know who picked up the damn soap bill cause I sure as hell wasn't gonna do it. By the way, almost every single soap favor was left on the tables at the end of the reception. No one took them home. Tell your sister to take them back to her friend. It was 7 years ago. I just realized I had a decent story to share. I still have no clue what happened to all those damn soaps. Hopefully one of the waitstaff liked them and didn't have to buy soap for years. Laughing my ass off, I make soaps and they have to age for weeks before they can be used or even packaged. There's no way they made them correctly so quickly with cold processed soap. Well, they made them weeks earlier because they never planned on the soaps not being there. This is the real answer. Maybe they were left over from the last wedding they weren't wanted at. They look melt and poor, honestly. They don't need as much time. Why did she think you would ever possibly want a random extra $250 bill, let alone for something so totally pointless? At my cousin's wedding we all got little bubble tubs in the shape of wedding cakes with heart-shaped ones. She divorced 2 years later, but there's still like 10 of these on top of my parents' fridge for if small children come round and need entertaining. Vendor shaming. Photographer whose website has a list of things she doesn't like, which includes her customers asking for certain photos. Photographer, adventurer. I'm goofy, excitable, romantic, and I'm so blessed to photograph awesome and unique couples. It's important to me that I connect with each of my couples, which is why I don't take every wedding that comes my way. I love getting to know my couples. Things I love: Jesus, cheese, cats and dogs, flying in airplanes, my husband, outdoor weddings, all 4 seasons, other free spirits, couples who are in love and not afraid to show it, gap teeth, owning my own business, earth tones, couples that write their own vows, Chopin and Eminem, Dave Ramsey unlined moleskin journals, freckles, soulmates, practical jokes, I'm very good at them, blooper photos, indoor plumbing. Things I don't love: cheesy props in photos, neon colors, tiaras, shooting in churches with orange carpet, people who try and talk down my price and devalue my art, divorce shot lists, tanning beds, a Cuban shuffle, giant wedding parties, photoshopping skin to look plastic, when people use social media as a diary, awkward says that no one would ever actually do in real life, brides who have other people contact me for them being asked to recreate photos found on Pinterest. Just what every couple wants, a photographer that's great at practical jokes. Also, what the hell is the Cuban shuffle? Does she mean Cupid shuffle? Yeah, I'm half deaf, so I need to know if I'm the idiot who's been calling it the Cupid shuffle all these years. It is indeed the Cupid shuffle, a song by Cupid, hence the name. She's just dumb, haha. Interesting. Under things she loves, her husband is listed 5th. Cheese, though, is 2nd. I feel like you could rip a page out of just about any middle school girl's diary and find a similarly styled list of likes and don't likes. Interesting that she posted that on the internet when she claims to hate diary entries on the internet. Remember this story about a wedding I was not invited to? So a high school acquaintance got married. I was not invited, nor was anyone I know well, but we were all Facebook friends with her and watched the drama unfold with popcorn. First, the save the dates went out in the mail and there was a flurry of excitement posts from her friends and family. Immediately, she posts a long rant about how the wedding was a small private one. But because everyone posted about the save the date, there was obviously going to now be gate crashers and they would have to hire security. Her well-wishers apologized and assure her that no one really crashes weddings and surely everything will be fine. A few months pass by and suddenly she posts pictures of her in her wedding dress getting married. I, and a few people obviously out of the loop, post congrats, which is how we got sucked into the drama. It turns out, she had sent out invitations for a date/venue another 6 months out, and then gotten secretly married with her husband and husband's immediate family, and a small, maybe 5 people, group of friends present. While an elopement is not something I think is at all shameworthy, her message to people from her family, her husband's extended family, and all the friends invited, was absolutely mind-blowing. She posted another rant about how, because people had posted about the save the dates, she had cancelled the wedding, and then she sent out the fake invitations to see who would break her rule about posting. When no one did, after the drama with the save the dates, she decided it would be funny not to tell anyone, and everyone being upset or confused was just being a hater. Then her grandmother posted a long rant, I wonder where she gets it, about how hurt she was, having purchased tickets not only for themselves, but for a few family members that needed help, not to mention getting left out of the event. The bride's response, which I looked up to make sure I copied it right, sorry you feel that way. We decided to only actually invite people we like. If you didn't get a real invite, that's how it is. Then she had the gall to be offended when everyone said they were returning presents. It was a glorious month of sideline drama for me. Nothing wrong with an elopement, but deceiving people into thinking they are going to be invited to a special day and expecting them to buy gifts for you, that's another level of self-centered delusion. If I'm not invited, you don't get a present. It's that simple. Personally, I don't need to be invited to get a small present for the couple, but it's gonna be way smaller than for a wedding I attend. So let me check I'm getting this right. 1. She sends out save the date cards to people she isn't intending to invite. 2. Gets cross when she gets congratulated. 3. Seems a limited number of invitations. 4. Elopes with only his family. 5. Tells friends and family that if they weren't invited she doesn't like them. 6. Gets annoyed when she doesn't get any presents. I think the save the dates only went to people that were going to be invited, but they posted about it on FB and that was a transgression. Seems the wedding date was totally confidential. In France, wedding dates has to be published 2 weeks in advances for everyone to see at the city hall. So, if someone have informations that legally can prevent the wedding, they can come forward. Don't you have this rules in the U.S? Oh, and I've yet to heard about wedding crashers. Guest leaves her child alone in a hotel room. This woman was a bad friend to start with, and generally a rude guest. She didn't like the meal option she chose when she saw someone else's option. Demanded a different meal, but of course the caterers didn't have any spares. It was only a small wedding, so she sulked and pouted her way through the meal. The bride and groom had put a few bottles of wine on each table to go with the meal. Once the meal was done, she hid a few half-full bottles under her cardigan and took them back to her hotel room so she wouldn't have to pay for drinks later on. That was rude behavior in and of itself. But the icing on the cake was how she neglected her kid. The kid was ill, so shouldn't have been at that wedding anyway. She should have asked a friend or relative to babysit, or just have stayed at home after the meal. She put her kid to bed in their hotel room, same venue as the reception, and left them alone for the next 6 hours. She had a baby monitor she carried around, but ending up leaving it on the bar, on a table next to the dancer floor, anywhere but in her hands. Other guests kept handing it back to her, but honestly didn't care. Awful woman. Update, it wasn't known till the next day that she hadn't been checking in. I'm sure someone would have marched her to the room if it had been known. All that was seen That night was that she didn't keep the baby monitor with her, which is still awful. The dad was told about it, and I believe their custody arrangements were changed after this. How old was the kid? How did the monitor even work from so far away? About 4. Too young to be left alone for so long. The hotel wasn't that big, so the baby monitor should have had the range, but then again we were assuming it was working as the lights were on. Kid was okay in the end, but was running a temperature and should have been looked after better. That's seriously appalling. If the hotel knew, they'd have probably called the police or evicted her. Can you imagine if there was some kind of emergency like a hotel fire? I know this is supposed to be wedding shaming, but I've got to do some parent shaming real quick. Do not leave sick children alone. When I was 10 I almost died, possible slight exaggeration, from being left alone for just a couple of hours. My mom didn't think I was sick because I didn't have a fever, but kept telling her I didn't feel good, so she headed into town to run errands and left me home alone. My grandmother stopped by to check in on me, and by her words, I was damn near glowing. I was so red with minimal response when she tried to wake me up. She checked my temp, and I was at 107 in less than an hour. Went from I don't feel good to unresponsive. Even though as a 10-year-old I should have been able to call for help, it all happened while I was asleep. Had she not shown up, who knows what could have happened. I also lost a significant chunk of my childhood memory as a byproduct of the fever. Do not leave sick children alone. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe for more videos. See you all later.